Joining me right now, House Affairs Committee member, Congressman Michael Lawler. Congressman, your reaction to the president's game plan?
I think the president is spot on. I've been saying this for years, that the cartels need to be treated as terrorist organizations, because that is exactly what they are. And he was right to designate them as such, and even far righter to take action, as we saw this week, striking at ships that were trafficking drugs. The fact is, over 100,000 Americans die on an annual basis from drug overdose, 70,000 of which is tied to fentanyl. And I introduced legislation just a few weeks ago to make it clear that anyone who traffics or deals fentanyl-laced products should be charged with murder, because that is exactly what they are seeking to do. They are attempting to kill Americans. And, you know, you look at what we are dealing with around the globe when it comes to terrorism, the death toll that has piled up from the illegal and illicit trafficking of drugs is far greater than anything we've seen. And the fact is that these terrorist, narco-terrorist states like Venezuela and these terrorist organizations, these drug cartels, need to be treated as such. And I think the president is spot on in what he is doing, and I fully support it.
Congressman, what I love most, and there's a lot to love about this, and that is the stopping of China and the precursors. We've been telling them, they said they don't know anything about it. They'll do their best. What can they do? We know they know all about it. And now they lost a lot of money, and they know that we know how it's getting here. I love that, even though we're in a sensitive time with trade negotiations.
This is critical both in terms of combating that illicit drug trade between China and Mexico, as well as these other narco states in Central and South America. But moreover, Brian, it's also critical for the United States to take back control of the prescription drug precursor industry. China should not be in control of this. It is having a tremendous impact on cost here in America, both obviously in terms of prescription drug cost overall, but obviously the death toll that we have seen from this illicit drug trafficking and trade between China.
I also want to talk about what the president's taken action. What was it like for you to go back to D.C. and see the nation's capital cleaned up? And how do you feel about other Democratic governors and mayors who I guess don't want that type of crackdown on crime? How do you explain that mindset?
Look, Brian, the crime epidemic that we have seen across this country over the last few years is shameful. And it has nothing to do with law enforcement. They're not the ones that are not doing their jobs. It's the politicians that have enacted disastrous policies like cashless bail in New York and raised the age where 16 and 17-year-olds are using guns in the commission of a crime hired by gangs because they know they're going to get a slap on the wrist in family court rather than criminal court. When you look at the stats out of Washington, D.C., where only 1.7% of gun crimes that result in a conviction end up in jail time, there is a fundamental problem with how the law is being prosecuted in Washington, D.C. And so what the president is doing, along with the U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, cracking down on crime, bringing in the National Guard, bringing about the FBI and ATF and DEA to crack down on the drug trafficking, the gang violence, cracking down on those that are using guns in the commission of a crime. That is exactly what needs to happen in every major city across this country. The use of the National Guard that many of my Democratic colleagues are decrying, they didn't seem to decry it when Kathy Hochul brought the National Guard into the MTA subway system because people were being burned alive on the subways and pushed in front of oncoming subway cars. We need to make sure that every resource is used to support law enforcement, and it starts by changing the laws. Cashless bail in New York needs to be repealed. Criminals need to be prosecuted and they need to serve jail time, period.
Absolutely. 2/3 of the public say crime is a major problem in America, but the Democrats don't seem to want to read that poll. Congressman Mike Lawler, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.